Welcome to the Sacred Shit Show, the podcast for women who are done performing wellness and ready for the real conversation. I'm Hannah Strange, holistic practitioner, best-selling author, and the woman who will always tell you what nobody else in the wellness space wants to say out loud. This is season 5, Capacity, the woman who can hold it all. And today's episode is the hidden reason you keep burning out. Let's get into it. I want to offer you a reframe today that might undo something that you have believed about yourself for a really long time. You don't keep burning out because you're not resilient enough. You keep burning out because you are so resilient that you have learned to abandon yourself in the process. Yeah, abandoning yourself in the process. Because the narrative around burnout in the wellness space tends to go one of two ways. Either you burned out because you weren't organized enough, didn't have good enough boundaries, didn't prioritize yourself. And in which case, the solution is a better morning routine, learning to say no. Or you burned out because you're highly sensitive and the world is just a lot. In which case, the solution is more rest, more gentleness, more protection. And whilst there's truth in both of these things, neither of them gets the real hidden reason that high-functioning, deeply capable women keep cycling through burnout again and again, regardless of how many boundaries they set or how many rest days they schedule. The real reason is this. Your nervous system was built in an environment where stopping wasn't safe, where rest meant vulnerability, where productivity was the thing that kept you valuable, needed, protected. And it has never been untrained from that belief, no matter how much healing work you've done around it. So the cycle continues, not because you're doing it wrong, but because your nervous system hasn't yet learned that it is safe to actually stop. Today we're going to look at that cycle honestly, and we're going to talk about what it actually takes to break it. I want to tell you exactly what my burnout cycle looks like, because I think naming it honestly, the real pattern, not the sanitized version, is more useful than theory that I could offer you. And it starts with overdrive. I convince myself that I'm fine because I'm productive. I take on too much, pour into everyone else, build, fix, create, hold everything together, ignore my body, override pain, sleep badly, survive on adrenaline and purpose. And if I'm honest, I often get praised during this stage. Wow, you do so much. I don't know how you do it. And that praise almost feeds the cycle, because somewhere underneath the exhaustion is a part of me that has always equated doing a lot with being enough. And then the crash comes. Not gracefully. My body forces the stop I refused to take. The pain flares. The exhaustion hits a level where even replying to a message feels impossible. I get emotionally flooded. Teary, snappy, hopeless. I isolate. The simplest of tasks feel enormous, and my brain starts whispering the things it always whispers in those moments. You're lazy. You're failing. Everyone else can cope. And then comes the most dangerous part of the cycle. I recover enough to function. Not healed, not rested, just functional. Just enough to be able to move again. And because I have spent so much of my life in survival mode, because stillness has always felt unsafe and rest has always carried guilt, my brain starts panicking about money, about responsibilities, about opportunities passing, about people depending on me, about letting everyone down, about proving myself. And I tell myself, right, come on, we've had enough rest now. And I throw myself straight back into overdrive before my nervous system has actually recovered. That is the cycle. Push, crash, recover just enough, push harder. For years, I genuinely believed that burning out meant I wasn't resilient enough. That the women who didn't burn out were somehow stronger, more capable, better built for the demands of life that I was trying to create. And then I understood something that changed everything. I wasn't burning out because I lacked resilience. I was burning out because I was resilient to the point of self-abandonment. And there is no morning routine, no boundary practice, no supplement stack, and no amount of healing work that will break that cycle until you address what is happening in your nervous system underneath it.
Dear listener, it's me, Herbal Moonbeam, guardian of the green, listener to the wisdom that lives in bodies, and your gentle guide here at the Strange Apothecary. While our host steps away to tend her tea, let me settle beside you for a moment. Have you felt it lately? That deep, steady fatigue that rest alone doesn't touch. The sense that your body has slowed the pace, not because you failed, but because it needed safety more than speed. When the body hits the brakes, it isn't rebellion, it's intelligence. And that low hum inside you, the one whispering there must be another way to live, isn't dissatisfaction, it's memory. This is where the Sacred Portal opens. The Sacred Portal is a 6-month group-held multidimensional healing journey for those who are done trying to heal in isolation and done being told they should already be over it. Together, over 6 months, we move slowly and deliberately through the 5 layers that shape your lived experience: body, mind, energy, soul, and spirit. Not to ascend out of life, but to finally feel safe inside it. Inside the portal, there is no fixing, no pressure to perform healing the right way, no bypassing the body in favour of insight. Instead, we work with somatic rituals that teach your nervous system it no longer has to stay on guard, subconscious patterning that softens survival without ripping it away, energy work that clears what never belonged to you, and soul remembrance that doesn't hype you up, it settles you back into. This container is held as one group, one path, one shared rhythm. Because healing doesn't happen through hierarchy, it happens through safety, witnessing, and regulation in relationship. The Sacred Portal isn't for those chasing a better version of themselves, it's for those ready to stop leaving themselves behind. The portal is now open for enrolment. One path, one group, 6 months of being held in a way most systems never taught you was possible. And because we honour the land that carries us, every enrolment plants a tree, rooting your healing into something living. And so if your body feels quieter as you listen, if something in you has softened instead of tensed, that's not coincidence. You already recognise this pace. Visit thesacredportal.co.uk or follow the link waiting for you in the show notes. The Sacred Portal. You were never broken, your system was protecting you. Now then, sweet soul, my wings are beginning to shimmer, which means it's time to drift gently back into your journey.
Amazing. Thank you, Herbal. And we hope to see some of you in September inside the Sacred Portal. Payment plans are available up until we open in September. So let's talk about what is actually driving this cycle at a psychological level. Because once you see it clearly, you cannot unsee it. And that visibility is where the real change begins. Your nervous system runs on a very simple operating principle. It is always trying to return to what it knows. And if what it knows is high activation, if your baseline was built in an environment of chronic stress, survival pressure, unpredictability, or the constant need to perform and produce to stay safe, then high activation doesn't just feel normal to your system, it feels like home. Which means when you slow down, when you actually stop, rest, and create spaciousness, your nervous system doesn't experience that as relief. It experiences it as threat, because stillness is unfamiliar, and unfamiliar, as we've talked about across this season, registers as unsafe. And this is why rest can make you feel guilty. And this is why you can be physically exhausted and still unable to switch your brain off. And this is why you recover just enough to function and then immediately throw yourself back into the overdrive that is slowly destroying you. Your nervous system is not pushing you. It is trying to get you back to activation level it recognizes as safe. And this part is what makes the burnout cycle particularly cruel for women who grew up in survival mode. That in the overdrive phase, your body is running on cortisol and adrenaline and your stress hormones. And those hormones are genuinely energizing in the short term. They give you focus, drive, and the ability to do extraordinary amounts of things. But they are also so deeply depleting that when they are your primary fuel source over a sustained period of time, so you run on stress hormones until they run out. And when they run out, that's the crash. That's the moment where your body has literally exhausted its emergency reserves and has nothing left to run on. And the reason the praise during the overdrive phase feeds the cycle, that I don't know how you do it, that you're so capable, is because it activates your reward system at exactly the moment your stress system is most engaged. Your brain learns that the overdrive state is not just safe, it is rewarding. It gets love and recognition there, which makes the pullback into overdrive even stronger every time the crash threatens to slow you down. Breaking this cycle is not about willpower. It's not about deciding to rest more or work less. It's about teaching your nervous system at a deep cellular, repeated level that stillness is safe, that rest is not a threat, that your value is not contingent on your output, and that recovery is not a luxury you take when you've earned it. It is a biological necessity without which the cycle will never end. So here is what I want you to hear today. Every time that you have burned out, it was not evidence of weakness. It was not evidence that you aren't cut out for life that you are building. It was not a sign that you need to be more disciplined or more boundaried or more anything. It was evidence of your nervous system that it was calibrated for survival, running a life that deserves so much more than survival. You are not failing. You are running the only program that you had been given, a program that kept you alive and functional through circumstances that would have broken most people. But that was never designed for the kind of sustained, joyful, expanding life that you are trying to build now. The cycle ends not when you try harder to rest, but when your nervous system learns that it is finally, genuinely safe enough to stop. That is capacity work. And that is exactly what we are here to build. So this week, I want you to map out your own burnout cycle. Get a piece of paper and write down your version of the push, crash, recover. Just enough and push again. What does each stage actually look like for you? What are the specific behaviours, thoughts, physical sensations, and external triggers that show up at each phase? And then I want you to look at where you are in that cycle right now. Not to fix it, not to immediately change everything, just to be aware. Because you cannot interrupt a cycle you haven't yet mapped. And awareness, as we keep coming back to across this season, is always where capacity begins to expand. Come back tomorrow for the imprint episode where we're going to work with the part of the cycle that keeps pulling you back in. The moment of functional recovery that isn't recovery at all. And begin teaching your nervous system what genuine rest actually feels like. And before we close today, I want to speak directly to the woman who is listening to this in the middle of her overdrive phase right now. The woman who knows she's running too fast, who can feel the crash coming but cannot seem to stop, who has been here before and knows exactly how this ends but genuinely doesn't know how to get off the wheel. You are not alone in this, and you're not broken for being here again. But I want to offer you something different this time. Not another strategy or a set of instructions to add to the load that you're already carrying. I want to offer you a community, a container, a space where the work of actually regulating your nervous system, not just understanding it, but feeling it change, is supported by women who are doing the same thing alongside you in real time. That is the Sacred Shit Show membership for £22 a month, because the burnout cycle does not break in isolation, it breaks in safety. And safety is built in community, in consistency, and in having somewhere to land that isn't dependent on your output. If you're ready to break the cycle and not just understand it, come and join us. The link is in the show notes, and I'll see you inside.